Yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another fun and exciting round of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And let me tell you, this is going to be one heck of a wild episode. So much so that maybe it might be a little too wild even for me. So this is honestly something that I cannot do this alone. So I'm bringing back an old friend who has already been here in AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, and we're definitely gonna have some fun. So please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast from Cartoon Palooza, Joey Tedesco. Joey, what is up, dude?
Thank you. I'm doing pretty good. It's good to be back. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah.
Yay!
We're watching cartoons, crazy and come your
Yeah, even in the chat wall, everybody's just joining in. Yay!
Yeah.
All right, but anyways, before I start things off, though, I do have a couple of announcements that I would like to make, though.
The news.
Yeah, well, no. That's a little bit later.
Not those.
That's the main feature of this show. So, this is regarding the cartoon cast itself. First of which is that on Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to have a very special episode, which is going to be dedicated to the Oscars, in which I'm gonna go and dive down not just on who won for the animation category for Best Animated Feature and Best Animated Shorts, but also I'm gonna go and talk about regarding the other winners, and also, of course, the show itself, which I don't know about you guys, but there's a part of me that feels like, with the way that the Oscars are prepared, this is gonna be a disaster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna find out like last minute that the Oscars are they're just not gonna have any envelopes. The envelopes are just gonna go missing.
Yeah. No, they're
Totally
just gonna
improvised.
Yeah, they're just gonna pick things up, and the winner for Best Animated Feature goes to La La Land.
La La Land.
Yeah,
at least
oh my god.
Like the first go that time.
Yeah, but yes, once again, I just want to remind you, it will be on Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern that I'm going to have that special episode. And also, just a little heads up, for next Saturday, there will be no episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And the reason why I say that is because in a few days, I'm going to be going on vacation. I will actually gonna go and relax in Mexico for a week. So I will be back on March 9th. That's when I'm going to pick things back up on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. So
back with a good tan probably too.
Oh, definitely. That would be nice. So I'm definitely excited for that, just to go and relax. Just like lately, like things have been packed up, things have been busy, things have been pretty crazy for me. So at least like having some time to
it's not just the podcast that's crazy.
Oh yeah, like running the channel and all that kind of stuff. So it's been quite nuts. So at least I just want to go on vacation just to relax and feel refreshed and get back not just on the podcast but for making videos in general. So that's awesome. Just the little heads up that I want to bring up to you guys. Okay, so with all that said and done, I would like to ask Joey, Chatwall, are you all ready for this week's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast?
Aye, Captain!
I can't hear you!
Aye, Captain!
You kind of hit puberty on there, son, but oh! All right, it looks like we are getting things started and we are all ready. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get things started. So first of all, I would like to ask Joey, are you hungry?
Maybe a little. I don't know what I'm hungry for, but I could say I've got quite an appetite.
Well, I mean, like, we just passed lunch, but I'm sure you got room for more stuff, so we're gonna begin with eating some delectable foods and some delectable Dr. Seuss food as we will dive into the Green Eggs and Ham. Yes, this is going to be the brand new Netflix series, which is going to be coming out later this year. And this is something that Netflix has officially announced, which of course is based on the classic Dr. Seuss story. And on top of that, they even revealed a brand new teaser trailer, which I'm not going to bother showing you because it's literally just 15 seconds.
It's tiny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally 15 seconds of showing the green eggs and ham, and you see a little shadow of Guy and Sam. But on top of that, it's not just the teaser trailer that they showed, but they also revealed the entire cast, which
Yeah.
it has an all-star cast. It's already enough that one of the executive producers of this is actually Ellen DeGeneres, but they also got massive cast, which I'm going to be reading here in my source here through Animation Magazine, which includes Adam Devine voices Sam I Am, a wildlife rescuer who specializes in saving rare animals and savoring every bite of green eggs and ham. Oh, and did I forget to mention about the plot of this, which it says, inspired by the classic Dr. Seuss storybook and produced by Warner Brothers, the 2D show follows opposites Guy and Sam on a road trip to save an endangered animal from a far-off zoo, learning to try new things like hope, friendship, and a certain delectable dish along the way. Going back into the cast, we already got Adam Devine. We also got Michael Douglas voicing Guy I Am, an amateur inventor turned professional paint watcher lurking for a warm bowl of oat mush, peace, and quiet. Then next up, we got Ilana Glazer voicing E.B., a curious, fun-seeking girl who just wants to keep a dangerous wild animal as a pet. Following that would be Diane Keaton voicing Michelle, or Michelle with two E's at the end, E.B.'s overprotective mother who'd rather stay home and count beans than ever risk any fun. This would then follow with Keegan-Michael Key providing the narration as viewers' rhyming guide on the road to Meepville. And then following that, we got some of the villains, including Eddie Izzard voicing Snurs, the tiny evil overlord of the biggest company in all of Seussdom, with a passion for collecting rare illegal animals.
Wait. Let me add something here. Isn't the only villain to Green Eggs and Ham Taste?
I don't know.
Now it's gotta have like a physical villain too. Like, I don't know. You can keep going. This is just sounding ridiculous.
Yeah, we'll get into that much later. Trust me.
Oh my gosh.
But wait, there is more. We also got we got Jeffrey Wright voicing McWinkle, a professional bad guy on One Last Job, which then follows with Jillian Bell voicing Glunts, a professional bad guy on her very first job, which also follows with John Turturro voicing Goat, the biggest, baddest goat on this side of Meepville. Alongside, we also got Tracy Morgan voicing Fox, a fox torn by his love for a chicken and her tasty green eggs. I don't know if this love for a chicken is like a gonzo thing, but I have no idea. And finally,
Don't you know that I'm going to be playing back how we do it in Detroit? We're going to eat some green eggs in here. I'm doing horrible Tracy Morgan, by the way.
We're both doing horrible. We're just both white dudes doing horrible Tracy Morgan impressions. What do you expect?
I mean, the only white guy that could probably do a good Tracy Morgan is Jack Donaghy from 30 Rock, and Alec Baldwin. Thank you.
Yes. All right. And finally, we got one more voice, which is going to be David Diggs voicing Mouse, a revolutionary at heart who longs for freedom and cheese. So that's basically the whole idea with this Green Eggs and Ham, and they're definitely taking a direction that I was not expecting.
Looking at this, it seems pretty normal. It seems casual. But I got one thing to say. What the hell? This thing sounds nuts.
Oh yeah, and there's definitely much more things in this that are absolutely nuts. But one question that I do have regarding this is just, why do we have a plot line regarding saving the animals in Green Eggs and Ham? Like, why is this legitimately a thing?
You know what bothers me about this is that, I mean, I'll say one thing though before I go into the negatives. One thing that I noticed, as far as like one aspect that I can appreciate about this, is this the first Dr. Seuss project that hasn't been done by Universals? And I think like the original shorts, the Cat in the Hat Productions, that was done that was produced by Warner Brothers animators, Patty DeFreeling, Chuck Jones.
Oh
did the
yeah,
original
yeah.
TV special. So I think it's kind of cool that the Warner Brothers is getting their hands back onto Dr. Seuss. I don't know if that's official or anything.
No, it is. I think it is, like, it is official. It's not just that they have that. I remember they also revealed later that now they're going to be the ones responsible to do a full animated Cat in the Hat movie.
Warner Brothers.
Yes, Warner Brothers.
Wow.
Yeah, it's no longer Universal. It's no longer Illumination.
That's good. You know what? I think that Universal has like had their clutch on Dr. Seuss properties for years. So I think it's going to be fresh to see a new direction. But I just got to ask, like you, why are we turning Green Eggs and Ham, which was never really a story-driven short? It's just, fun rhymes with a fun story about, having different tastes to being about saving the animals. You're talking about a good cop, bad cop, one guy doing one last job. I'm like, why?
No, and honestly, it's so
I got 2
weird.
days left to retirement, and they make me eat these green eggs and ham.
I'm only 2 days away from retirement. Yeah, no,
I wouldn't try it on a boat.
No, but for me, what I find weird is the fact that with Green Eggs and Ham, it's mainly a story that tells the message of trying something new. Basically, like, try out new things. Like, don't let yourself doubt, don't be in doubt. Like, if you try it, you might end up liking it. Yeah. That's basically the whole moral of the story. There's not much that you can do to make a full animated project out of it, let alone a godforsaken animated series. But the wildlife element, I feel like it's just so weird because honestly, out of all the Dr. Seuss characters, Sam I Am is the last guy that I would call to save frickin' animals. This dude wants to explore new things, and he wants to try new food like Green Eggs and Ham. Yeah, he wants
to mention, it's not a vegan dish here. It's made out of animals.
It's nothing but that. It's literally green eggs and ham. So, Sam I Am is gonna save that endangered species because he wants to know what it tastes like.
Thank you. So he can put it on a hot pike or something, hot spit or something.
Exactly.
And you said it before, and the one thing that bothers me about all this is that this is going to be a series, like a short film, an anthology series using different Dr. Seuss works that were similar to Green Eggs and Ham would be totally cool, kind of like what they did in the 70s and 80s with the Patty Dufresne shorts.
Oh, that is
not
true.
Not like a legitimate full series. Like they're now finding new books that the Doctor wrote that were never published. Don't you think that's new material to make new shorts out of? Instead, they gotta just take an old property and make it into a series. Like, I don't know. That to me, it sounds so nuts. It's just one of those things where I'm just as a fan of Dr. Seuss, a part of me likes nutty things, but like another part of me is critical about just given how Dr. Seuss has been handled over the years when it comes to projects. Like it's just off a name brand recognition that this is going to sell. And that's what irritates me a little about it.
Yeah, and I mean, what's actually interesting to note is that it pretty much explains a lot that after Dr. Seuss passing, that's when things just went completely insane with the branding of Dr. Seuss. There's one recent video that I saw that actually covered it very well. It was in Defunctland's new episode of what was it? The Wubulous World of Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, like, the TV series.
Yeah,
the Muppets, right?
Yeah. With the Jim Henson Company. Like, Kevin. Yeah, what was it? Kevin Perjurer actually described it very well about the events of what happened, especially with the Dr. Seuss brand. But one thing that I will say though about all this, now I know that we are all confused about the whole thing with this animated series being a thing and the direction that it's going. But I will say that there is something that I feel like it does make sense, and that is actually regarding the budget. Because now you know where the money is going with. Like, the fact that it has this massive all-star cast. Joey, have you heard about the budget with how much they want to spend on this?
I didn't look into the budget, but I'll say if it's Netflix, it's going to be more than TV. It's gonna like lean more towards the middle ground between feature film and television. That's what I'm thinking.
I would say like probably around the budget of an animated film, like a
Oh,
mainstream anime.
really?
Yeah, because from the
Oh,
reports they have stated like long during the time when this was announced in the first place. I actually heard that this actually has this is technically I think one of the most expensive series that Netflix has produced, or at least one of the most expensive animated series, where the budget, I kid you not, is around 5 to 6 million per episode.
well, they gotta afford them eggs, dog.
Oh yeah,
They gotta
green
get them
eggs are
on
more expensive than golden eggs. Let me tell you.
coming out of a golden goose, aren't they?
No, oh absolutely, but
Nuts.
yeah,
5 to 6 million an episode?
oh yeah, like I guess like from what we see, we do have a bit of an example of where the budget is coming from. Well, like it
From
has a
people
very
like
prominent
Douglas.
all-star cast, and even like I will say this, the trailer itself with the 15 seconds, it does provide some pretty solid animation. That animation was
Yeah.
actually pretty good.
One thing I liked about the teaser is that it was limited. I liked that it had like a limited color scheme, not animation style, but the color scheme is limited like the original book. And like a
Mhm.
lot of Dr. Seuss books, is that there were never a lot of colors in Dr. Seuss books. There were just limited colors that were very bright, and I think
Mhm.
that's important to note, where there's a lot of adaptations that just like put color onto the screen with no rhyme or reason. Whereas if you go back to the original books, and even with the Grinch that came out, they tried to focus on red, like the same way the original book was. It had only three colors: black, white, and red. So I kind of like
Yeah.
that. It looked like it was limited. I mean, granted, this is a teaser, and I'm sure it was just to match the look of the cover of the book and not necessarily
Yeah.
the series. But I think that's something that should be noted when it comes to designing the world of Dr. Seuss, is that it's really the structure that I think matters over the color. But that's just me.
Yeah,
I
I
would say
think
one
I
thing.
will say oh, go on, actually.
I was gonna say one thing though. Michael Douglas as the grumpy guy. That's so out there. But given that I love Ant-Man, I could see that. No, I don't want the green eggs and ham. Damn it, Scott!
Oh, that
Stop
is
giving me
true.
these eggs.
Oh god, yeah. No, but one thing I will say though about the color schemes, you do bring up a good point, but unfortunately I would say yes, that is you, because I could tell already that the series is going into direction where they're going to use a whole bunch of colors,
Yeah.
because at the same time they also revealed what the characters are going to be looking like, which does have a tiny bit of that Seuss look with the characters, but they do have a bit of a modern update, and you could tell that they got a pretty large color scheme. Like one of the characters, like you got McWinkle, who's like full on blue. Then you got like Michelle, that's like purple, but also a Harry Seuss. Like Sam I Am, well, they kept it.
A furry character in a Dr. Seuss project. That's a different Dr. Seuss story, Matt.
I don't mean that furry, Joey. Not that furry.
We're going. This is Netflix. We're going into a different direction here.
No, we're talking about a Netflix show. We're not talking about DeviantArt.
We're not talking about Skinemax here.
No, we also
Kids, damn it.
you can tell that like they're already like they're already like multicolored characters, and on top of that, like mentioning about the character Snurs, thinking about that guy, honestly, with the way that they want to go into an environmental wildlife message, like they really are going into a very similar territory to Illumination's The Lorax in a way. Because with the villain, he does sound a lot like the bad guy from The Lorax. You know, the one that like with
O'Hare?
the Farquaad, with the like the Farquaad looking guy whose eyes are way too close to each other.
Yeah, voiced by Riggle, voiced by Rob Riggle.
Yeah, that guy.
O'Hare. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, O'Hare. Exactly.
O'Hare.
It's just Snurs sounds a lot like O'Hare, the tiny evil overlord of the biggest company in all of Seussdom, with a passion
Selling air.
yeah, selling hair.
Selling air.
Selling it. Would you like to buy some air? Or perhaps you would like some hair?
I don't want it, scat. I'm just gonna. My Michael Douglas always ends with scat.
Yeah.
I don't want it, scat. I'm Sam. No, it's scat.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's scat. Oh my god. Try this. It's scat. No, it's green eggs and ham. It tastes like scat.
Give me with some scat.
Yeah. Oh god. But yeah, overall, it's just I feel like this is definitely a weird series. They're definitely going in a strange direction with this one. One that seems like a little bit odd even for especially for Dr. Seuss standards,
Oh, yeah.
actually.
It really seems out there. It's like the Warner Brothers is like taking all the chips in a poker game. It's just going like, just take it all. Like, I don't even think they're thinking about return on this one. They're just like putting everything in it with this one. And I think it's like, what'd you say, 5 to 6 million an episode? That's a lot. I don't know. This thing to me seems like it's too big to fail. Like, I don't know. Like, it's too big and I could see it failing. It's just way too much going into it. It's just,
Yeah.
I think when you got Dr. Seuss, I always think limiting it would be better. But nope, it's Dr. Seuss. We got to like make everything bigger and over.
You got Dr. Seuss, you got an all-star cast, you got Ellen DeGeneres as a producer, so I'm sure they're gonna really go big with this one.
Did the widow pass away? Is she still with us? I think she passed away, right?
I think she just recently passed away, actually.
Seems odd that now we're having a green eggs and ham after her passing. I think she may have been responsible for not getting green eggs and ham out there.
Yeah, she only picked a very few selected choices. Like, she only went
do
with
Cat in the Hat again.
Yeah. She's out. We can do the Cat in the Hat right this time.
Oh my gosh. And she was upset about that too. That was the film that made her want to
just stop all live action productions like immediately.
Yeah.
Well,
good call.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, like when you watch a big screen adaptation of your husband's most famous work, and all you see is just, yeah, you want to stop.
Cringe. That's a cringe fest right there, man.
Oh yeah. But going into this, it looks like it's stated that it will be coming out this fall, so we'll have to wait and see with how this series actually will go. And with all that said, let us go into the chat wall. Since me and Joey already expressed our thoughts on this, let us know what you guys think of this Green Eggs and Ham series. Is it something that you guys would be interested in checking out? Would you guys pass on this? What do you think? Do you guys like this new direction? Do you guys not? Let me know. Alright, so I'm just going to pick one and see what we got. As someone who grew up with the Reader Rabbit Green Eggs and Ham computer game, I see potential in this series with the characters' personalities and comedy. I hope it turns out well. Hopefully it won't be too preachy about saving the environment. Okay.
That's a good point, because I actually remember that game. The Reader Rabbit Green Eggs and Ham game. And the Mickey Mouse game they had, too.
Yeah, I think I might have played the Reader Rabbit Green Eggs and Ham one. Like, I remember it had, I remember it even started out, like, with a little tune. It was like, I'm Sam, Sam I am, Yeah.
Oh, man, good times.
Oh, yeah. Glad to hear that Warner Brothers have their hands on Seuss once again instead of the dirty mitts of Universal in Illumination. The Green Eggs and Ham series looks promising, and I think it could be Warner's experiment on how they would adapt Seuss stories before they dive into the animated Cat in the Hat movie.
Yeah.
If this is the experiment, then I don't know. I just
I didn't see it as being like the test runner for the Cat in the Hat. I think, but now that you're mentioning it, it's like, are we gonna make this a movie, or are we gonna just stick to Netflix? And I think that's a good point.
Yeah,
that they're bringing that up.
That is interesting. Okay. In that terms of an experiment, that could be a good idea. Yeah. Let's see. I could see how it might work, but I feel like there are other Seuss properties that could be turned into a series, at least with the Cat in the Hat. With the Cat in the Hat knows a lot about, they say they have the material to work with. Yeah, and like there are a few other series that I can imagine would work better in terms of a series and just stick with the message. Like I'm thinking Yertle the Turtle or If I Ran the Zoo could be good examples of series that could actually work out just as a TV show.
Or like you seeing it on Mulberry Street. Think about all that crazy stuff you got going on Mulberry Street. I want to know what else is going on Mulberry Street. Even Gerald McBoing Boing 2 was a TV series too by UPA.
Well,
so the fact that I'm
yeah, that one is just that one was like a preschool show, I believe, like the reboot of that.
Oh, so they're always experimenting with Gerald.
Yeah, I mean Gerald McBoing Boing has always been like the prominent animation boy to experiment with.
Oh yeah.
Like that's his legacy, like the most experimental cartoon character in existence.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's see. Do we have any other ones? Say this in a style of Dr. Seuss rhymes. I'm not sure about In a House. I'm not sure about It with a Mouse. I'm not sure about Green Eggs and Ham TV showy. Not sure about you, Matt and Joey. By the way, Warner Brothers did adapt a Seuss book, Horton Hatches an Egg, back in 1942. Oh boy, that long ago.
Why say it like Dr. Seuss when we can freestyle it? I'll give you a beat.
Oh God! now you're going into Universal territory with that one.
Like
oh my God!
Poochie the dog from the Simpsons.
Where's Poochie? Every time Poochie is off screen, all the characters should ask, "Where's Poochie?"
I must go now. My planet needs me.
Yes. Oh, wow. All right. So I think we should be good with Green Eggs and Ham. And
that's a big one, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But now we are going to go and move on to our next story, in which we actually got a trailer. And speaking of eggs, we're going to be talking about those things that came out of an egg. And no, I don't mean the food, but rather a teaser trailer. And this is going to be for another sequel that's going to be coming out this year, because somehow we don't have enough animated sequels this year. And that is Angry Birds 2. And I just want to say right now that, believe it or not, I have yet to actually see the trailer. So this is going to be my first time watching it. So let's go ahead and have a look into the Angry Birds Movie 2, the official teaser trailer. Okay, so that was the teaser trailer for Angry Birds Movie 2. So,
Even saying that title just sounds weird. Angry Bird Movie 2, you know?
Yeah, like now now the movie seems to be that successful for a sequel. And before I get things started on that, I just want to start things off by giving out my thoughts on the first Angry Birds movie. And
I'll do that too.
Yeah, and the thing is, I know it's a lost cause. Like, there would be no way of taking something like Angry Birds and turn it into something like enjoyably fantastic. But I will give it that at least the people working on that film, they did the best that they could. Like, yeah. I could tell that they did put in as much effort as possible to try to make the most out of such a ridiculous concept of turning the Angry Birds game into a full-on movie. That and also, I have to say that if there is one element that I adore from that film, it's the animation. Like, I would even dare say it's some of the most underrated animation. Like, it's even some of the most some of the best and most prominent use of, like, cartoony animation that is actually effective and even funny. Like, the timing actually works out very well in many moments. So I really do applaud that film for it and really do admire it. Like, say what you will about the story and stuff like that and the characters. Yeah, it's pretty crappy, but the animation there, it's just absolutely fantastic. So for me, it is a bit of a mixed bag where, yeah, it is a dumb movie, but it is well executed in some parts. Joey, what about you? What do you think of the original Angry Birds movie?
It's funny because I share the same thoughts as you about this film, but I would actually reverse what you'd say about the story and the animation. In my opinion, I actually think the animation was kind of standard. I didn't think it was bad, but I didn't think it was like the greatest type of character animation out there. Use of the principles of animation, sure, like the Great Eagle, you'd see like he's got this giant gut. So how is he gonna like fly through the air? Well, he's got like all this weight, and that was done pretty well. I mean, on top of the fact that the animation is something that would stand out in Angry Birds, since the whole principle of the game is its animation with the slingshots and the physics of seeing these birds hit these walls. So in that aspect, I think they did a good job. But what most people didn't really talk about with this story is that when this movie came out, there was another film that talked about emotional awareness, emotional intelligence, the Trolls movie, and I hated it because it didn't do a good job at the message they were trying to do that Inside Out did better, which is that in order for you to be more emotionally aware of what's going on in a situation, you have to be a little upset. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be upset, especially. I mean, I'm not going to go into it. I made a whole video about why I hated the message in Trolls and the way they did it. But I think the movie was so overwhelmed with trying to be happy and trying to like force happiness that it was kind of despicable. Whereas when you got a movie like Angry Birds, which has a main character living who's a cynical character in a world where everybody's trying to tell him to be happy, it does make for good contrast in that it's okay to be an angry character. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to have negative emotions. Something that I think when it comes to movies for children, I mean, I know it's saying that the movie's directly marketed to children.
Yeah.
It's important to at least make them aware of emotional intelligence and allowing children to be okay with having these emotions versus how you're acting on it. And that's been like, something that most movies have struggled with. And I think this movie was kind of like in the right direction with that. Was it perfect in the way they did it? No, but it's refreshing to see a movie where it's like, you know what? You're pissed off. That's okay. It's just a matter of what you're gonna do with that anger and how you're gonna act on your anger versus be impulsive and destructive about it, but just sort of be more controlled with it. And this is me looking at it from like the therapeutic side of it, given that it's my profession to know about these things as a therapist. But compared to like Trolls, where it's like, no, be happy, happy 24/7, happy, happy, happy,
Can't
happy.
stop the feeling.
Exactly. Like it was despicable. So for a movie like Angry Birds to do that, I thought it was great. On top of the fact that this is Joe Vady, one of the big writers from the earlier episodes of The Simpsons.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, they had one of the Simpsons writers on this.
This is like his first animated project. I think he did a good job for what he had. Was it the best movie at that year? No, it was right smack dab in the center for me. And that's really all I gotta say about Angry Birds, the movie.
That is definitely interesting. I never thought about like the animation is fine, the story is fine. At least it's not Trolls.
That's what I mean. Like it blows me away that was what I picked out of this video game movie adaptation, which already doesn't have a great track record. Is that what? Inside Out was such a marvel when it comes to emotional intelligence.
Oh yeah.
And it comes to being able to cope with negative emotions in response to like really bad events, like moving or running away. That I hope it would open the door to more movies taking a side like that when it comes to talking about negative emotions. Because the children watching these films, like once again, I go back to Trolls. What I hate the most about it is that it's a movie trying to force an opinion on you, whereas there are movies that don't do a good job telling that message, where it's very easy for you to be like, well, these characters did it that way, but these characters weren't really that good characters. They were kind of horrible characters. Why should I be following them? Whereas I think with something like Angry Birds, where I wouldn't even say like the characters are like fully developed, but just the idea of that message where you can't get rid of anger. Anger is going to be with you. It's just a matter of what you're going to do to cope with your anger. That I hope gets continued with this film, but given that trailer, I mean, that first trailer to the first Angry Birds movie was horrible. It was the most cliche-ridden trailer I have ever seen.
What happened in the first trailer? I'm trying to remember.
Exactly, it's that forgettable.
Yeah.
It's just every animated cliche you could think about. He's a loser. The red, he's a loser.
Oh,
he
that
joins
kind of
with
thing,
a cast of other losers, and then they're gonna fight the big bad, and then they got the pop soundtrack, and then it's just cliche after cliche. Like I was literally watching that trailer. I felt like CinemaSins, where everything was just another sin.
Plus the fact that you would add like it lacks a lap dance. Ding.
Oh, where's the dance number? There you
Oh
go.
yeah, yeah. They got it. Oh yeah, and of course the movie ends with a dance number.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know.
What did they use? Is it like I'm trying to remember? It's like I'm Bad from Michael Jackson, I think, or
I think it was the trailer did "I'm Bad." I mean, guess because Megamind did it so well,
yeah,
we gotta keep
exactly.
forcing
Yeah,
that in there.
yeah. And going back into this teaser trailer, honestly, I look at this and I just feel like it's just, I don't know. It's just.
Yeah,
Like it's
exactly.
not even showing us much of like the main selling point of the Angry Birds. It's just like we're mostly introduced to this new like what's supposed to be the new villain character that's apparently all about ice and like lives her life as like just ice and stuff like that. Basically some kind of like a comedic knockoff of Elsa in a way.
And given that it's interesting where you look at the Frozen 2 trailer where it's like a reverse on the style of autumn instead of winter. This is going to be focusing on winter. Like they literally had to steal a tagline from Game of Thrones to promote this darn thing. Like winter is coming. I just come on. But you know what's interesting about all this though is that when watching this trailer, I was trying to find something which I think was my problem is that this is going to be Thurp Van Orman's first animated feature. From my knowledge,
Mhm.
he hasn't been booted off the production or he didn't leave the production. He's still going to be directing this, from my understanding. And he created The Misadventures of Flapjack, which is highly underrated. Like, in my opinion, no one ever talks about the craziness and insanity of that show.
From what
I
I've
mean,
heard,
that,
I mean, like, that's the show that kind of planted the seed for all the animated series from the 2010s, like Adventure Time, Steven
yeah.
Universe, Gravity Falls, and all that stuff.
Pendleton Ward, Alex Hirsch, J.G. Quintel all got their start with Thurp Van Orman, and they pay
Mhm.
their respects to him by having him in their shows too. And the
Exactly.
fact that he's Lil Gideon from Gravity Falls. Hey everybody! Which, by the way, is his actual voice. So making fun of it's not that good of a thing to do because the man actually sounds like a 10-year-old boy. Yeah, an 8-year-old boy.
Then again, so is my voice, like for my videos, so I can't really add anything to that. So,
That's true. Like we always goes back to that video I made where I imitate you like Toad
yeah, for the
from
Mario
Mario
games.
Party. Hi guys.
Oh my god, that is so true. But
But
yeah,
anyways, like I just kept looking for something like that marvelous misadventures of Flapjack style, and I'm not seeing it. Which by the end of this trailer, I was like, you know what? He's just doing this so that he can get his foot into the field, and then at some point he can get his own animated picture. The same way Gendy Tartakovsky was able to get a passion project of his done by doing Hotel Transylvania movies.
yeah, that's a good point. Like it's kind of like a kind of like a stepping stone for him, like something to do in the meantime, like a CV filler, basically, a
Yeah,
portfolio filler, just to say that I directed a mainstream animated feature, so
yeah.
now you could do all the other stuff, and like
Go
even
into that picture and be like, yeah, I made an animated feature. Give me my movie.
yeah, and in the case, like, the way you describe stuff like Flapjack, where the comedic style is just weird, wacky, and crazy, like, you'd think
Oh,
that he would be right for this kind of movie, like, for the
yeah.
Angry Birds, like, he can go nuts with it. But that's kind of the problem, though, with this trailer. I don't see much of that. We just see the typical ice jokes. Like,
Yeah.
these are, like, polar ice jokes that we would see again and again, and there's just nothing about it that I find that really is fresh, that is original, or even that funny.
And to be honest with you, like the only thing I could pick out of this that could be interesting is like, what if this character is stuck with these ice abilities and is stuck with everything being like ice that he or she, I think it's a he or she. I'm
No,
not
I
even
think it's a
sure.
she because I forgot who the voice is. It's either Taraji P Henson or Tiffany Haddish,
Oh
who's
my
the new
God. Tiffany
voice.
Haddish at this point, she's like going to be Wanda Sykes back in 5 years ago where she was just playing every sassy character in animated films. So
Or no,
like
oh no. Well, she's not. Okay, like it actually has a list. The description actually has a full-on list of all the different actors. Okay, she's not in here. But I don't know. Oh well, they do have Nicki Minaj, so
oh,
maybe
wonderful.
they got yeah, because she did so well in Ice Age 4.
To be fair, Steven Universe, there's that.
Oh, she was in Steven Universe?
Yeah, she played like one of the morphed characters where she like merged with two characters, and then she did a song. Yeah, Nicki Minaj did a song, and it was like one very interesting and very inspired choice. And this is coming from a guy that doesn't watch a lot of Steven Universe, but for given what I saw from that, it was a very inspired choice. Having Nicki
And
Minaj.
the chat wall actually just reminded me. Okay, thank you guys. Actually, it seems that she is Leslie Jones. The character who we just saw, it's
Good
Leslie
for
Jones.
her. Good for her. Leslie Jones needs to do more work.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm in the camp of people that feels bad for this actress, given what she's had to deal with.
Oh yeah, with Ghostbusters. Yeah, she has been treated terribly with Ghostbusters. She did not deserve that.
I'm proud that she's getting more work. I really am.
Oh
She's
yeah,
a comedic talent. Great comedic talent. So I'm actually that actually is one up to get to not get me to groan.
Oh, you're watching it. Oh, so you're pretty. So basically, what you're watching is just a pink bird who is bored and is Leslie Jones.
Okay. Basically, that's the trailer.
That is the trailer. You're just seeing this bored Leslie Jones bird in her ice palace.
They need to have her arguing with Matt Damon. That's what they need. They need to have her arguing with Matt Damon about Weezer. That's what they need her to do.
Yeah, basically. But
you don't know Rivers Cuomo like I do.
But yeah, honestly, is there anything else that we could say about this trailer? Honestly, it's just there really isn't much. And especially, actually, it just reminded me, the one thing that I feel like the weirdest thing that feels the most unnatural, I don't know about you guys, it's honestly the fact that there's a dog. I don't know. Like, the fact that we are, like, I know it's a world of pigs and birds, but in this case over here, like, we see this dog, and it's like, I don't know, it feels out of place for an Angry Birds project.
Not only that, it brings to question something. So, how big are these characters? Are they like human-sized birds and pigs, and then that dog is actual size? Or are they regular-sized birds and pigs, and that's a mini chihuahua, like a shrunken-down chihuahua?
Like, yeah, that is a good question.
Because if we got giant mutated pig people and
green
giant
pigs,
birds,
by the way,
I would be freaking out, man.
Well, I mean, the pigs, I can believe that they can be that size. Like, they can be humongous. But the birds, it's like, you got all these different birds. Are they really all that big? I don't know. There's some misproportions going around.
You saw that giant red bird. Not Red, the main character, but that big,
Terrence.
Big red character. If that was like a 20-foot tall bird, run!
Oh yeah, no, Terrence. Oh, I just gotta say, like, on a side note, back on the first movie, Terrence is probably one of the best characters, bar none.
Yes.
Oh
it's
my
like,
god.
Oh, we're gonna find out what's wrong with you.
Yeah, and then you just see the camera panning on him, and like you see all this, like you hear nothing but like this disastrous sound effects and just him slowly smiling. Oh,
I think there were gunshots in there too. You know, like
yes.
The best thing about that is that I used that as reference when I did my Food Fight review, where I'm watching Food Fight and then I'm behind a green screen where there's just flames, and I just take like all the worst sound effects you could think of, like gunshots,
yeah.
a baby crying, people falling and screaming, and police sirens, like make it sound like Detroit or something. And I just got that thinking about Terrence from Angry Birds.
Although wasn't your Food Fight review before Angry Birds movie? So you did it first.
Oh wow, maybe.
Yeah, because Angry Birds movie was 2016.
Wow, good catch.
So you're the innovator here. Terrence is just copying
where are my
you.
Royalty checks? Where are my royalty checks, Sony?
Yeah, Sony owes for the both of us.
Well, it's Amy Pascal. I could see why that would. I could see why that would happen.
Yeah. Oh my.
Taking my royalty checks, Amy.
Yeah.
Giving it to your Venom movie.
Yeah. Oh my god. But yeah, honestly overall though, this trailer it's not doing much for me. It's not
Me
selling
neither.
me the movie, so I don't know what the fridge is going on with that one.
And it's disappointing, like I said, because Thurip Van Orman, a guy who tried to make a TV series at a time where he pretty much wanted to use not just like one style of animation, wanted to use like every style of animation and art and
Mhm.
printmaking into his show. Go into this, I was just like, come on, this looks like a, like you said, a portfolio filler for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, and even at that, like even what I love the most from the Angry Birds movie, the animation, it's like there's not much of that that's even highlighted in here, like the
Yeah,
wacky cartoony style. We don't see any of that in this. So,
no,
yeah, overall this trailer is just disappointing. I think that's the
yeah.
best way to put it. All right, so with that said, I want to go onto the chat wall. And guys, what do you think about this teaser trailer for the Angry Birds movie 2? Are you guys a little more optimistic than us about it? Are you guys disappointed as us? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Let me know what you guys think. Okay, let's see here. I thought this trailer looks okay. I'm not a fan of the first movie, but the sequel looks like it could be decent. Not trying to be the worst, but decent. Also, are you surprised that the Sony Pictures Animation logo is in there and the poster and the trailer? They aren't even producing the movie, but just releasing it under the label like Goosebumps and Peter Rabbit. The next is supposed to be Wish Dragon according to their schedule. Are you surprised by it?
I mean, that seems like a detail. That seems like an interesting detail. It's kind of like noticing that the Columbia logos in front of Spider-Man Homecoming or Far From Home. I mean, it's been all over the place when it comes to how they use their logos. Sometimes they use Sony, sometimes they just use Columbia, you know?
Yeah, it depends on the brand, I guess. And I know
That's
that
true.
at the like I understand with the first Angry Birds movie, even though that doesn't count as a Sony animation film, I do know that Sony Animation did had a helping hand in terms of the production, in terms of doing some of the animation. So I guess that could be the same case over here. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I know for a fact that when it comes to Sony, they don't use Sony Pictures Animation as their brand for like their animated projects, but more so like kind of like their kids brand. Like Sony Pictures
Uh,
Animation is more for their projects that are more specifically aimed for kids. That's why they would add into the camp like Peter Rabbit or Goosebumps or stuff like that that are not necessarily from that studio, but they would slap that logo in to say that it is that kind of brand where it is a Sony Pictures movie that is geared more towards kids. So maybe that's why that movie also has that logo there.
Also, I think it's important to note too that Thurip Van Orman directing the film, because Sony has had a history of choosing creative types of like where the creativity is going to go for certain projects. Like I could see, given that they were able to hire a Cartoon Network's TV showrunner for a movie like Hotel Transylvania, and MTV showrunner Clone High at the time, Phil Lord and Chris
Yeah.
Miller, to want to say, let's go use another animated TV showrunner from TV. That was a little redundant. Thurip Van Orman to direct this project. So I could see Sony being responsible for that choice.
Well, yeah, of course. And considering with Sony, they usually always go for fresh meat. They don't
Mm-hmm.
go for any like new people, and I'm sure for them it's too expensive to hire like experienced people or people with a lot of recognition to go and direct their animated features. Like they're not able to go and get that. And for them, other than getting Tartakovsky, it is near impossible for them to get like a signature director, someone to stay at Sony Animation or at Sony in general to be
Yeah.
producing films just for them. So for them, of course, they would bring in someone like Thorpe Van Orton to get to get some new people in to get to create some directorial debuts.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because Paul Feig, not Paul Feig, the other Paul who did, or Peter, the guy who directed Cow and Chicken did a bunch of
Oh,
earlier
David
films.
Feiss.
That was way off. Where did I get Paul Feig from?
Paul Feig. Yeah, next thing you know,
Wow.
you're just gonna go,
I was
oh,
like
Paul
way off.
Frees.
Yeah, like completely get everything wrong. I think that should just be like a running thing from now on. I'm just gonna like confuse every director and filmmaker on every
Yeah,
podcast we talk about.
yeah,
Michael Douglas is
yeah.
directing this.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, it's Ellen DeGeneres in this. No. But I know David Feast. Interestingly enough, like he has moved on from Sony. Like I know
Yeah,
previously, like he had been working on the open season movies for years, including like
yeah.
the fourth one. Now I know he has moved on to Paramount because he has a directing credit in the upcoming Wonder Park.
I mean, the bear looks very similar to the bear in open season in Wonder
Yeah,
Park.
the bear looks like the bear. Yeah, that bear looks
It's a
definitely like a
copy
bear.
and paste. It's changed the color from brown to blue.
Oh yeah, okay, I get what you mean. Yeah, except hopefully he's not gonna randomly have like some kind of like gangsta sounding voice like
Martin
Martin
Lawrence.
Lawrence. Yeah,
Nah, he's too busy with Bad
that was
Boys.
the weird thing about Boog in open season. It's like, why are you why are you talking like you're from the streets?
Hey, those woods are it's a hard ghetto, man.
Yeah, a hard
It's a
ghetto
hard
with
life.
yeah, definitely a hard ghetto with an Ashton Kutcher deer, a freaking Patrick Warburton, and a random Scottish squirrel.
Mid 2000, early 2000 animation. That's the tagline. It's just a guy going, we're trying. We
Well,
ain't kicked on.
actually, the best way to describe it is that it's the beginning of Sony Animation, the one that started it all. So that should explain a whole lot. Anyways, going into some of the chats, man, I might have skipped a whole lot. Let's see. The movie has Brooklyn Prince, who was the lead little girl in the Florida Project and was in the Lego Movie 2, and
Oh,
I want her to have a great career because of the Florida Project needs more love, and I think you'll love it, Matt. Really? Wait,
ooh,
Brooklyn
that's a
Prince is...
hard movie to watch. And that,
It's the
actually,
last one listed, like right under Nicki Minaj. Holy crap.
dude. Yeah, Brooklyn. You know what? I'm glad that girl is getting more work. She was a very good character in the Florida Project, but I've talked about this. That movie is a very hard watch. It talks about um
Hmm.
not foster care in this one, but it talks about like child protective services, parents that are kind of neglectful and a whole thing. Interesting movie. Maybe I need to give it another shot because that was a very, very hard
Oh yeah,
watch.
tough watch, but it's tough to watch for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I mean, you
absolutely.
also got to remember, I'm coming in from the therapeutic side of things, so
Yeah, of
watching
course.
it kind of my work was was going in, and a lot of my questions that the characters are doing, I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah, yeah, and like a therapeutic side, I'm sure emotionally is just
Oh yeah,
it's broken.
yeah, man.
Do we have any other? I think we'll be good with that. So, okay, so we're done with we're done with the Angry Birds movie too. But unfortunately for our next story, speaking of emotions, yeah, this is a bit of a tearjerker moment because it's something that did happen last week though, but
Yeah.
it really did signal that it is the end of an era. And what I'm talking about, folks, is going to be the end of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Yes, it was actually revealed on the official Facebook page of My Little Pony, revealing that it is going to be the end of the series in particular of Friendship is Magic. Reading through Facebook on their official post, as it states, Season 9 will be the last season of Friendship is Magic. But this is definitely not the end for My Little Pony. In fact, this is just the beginning. As we continue development on our all-new CGI movie, which they did recently announce that it will come out in 2021, we are dedicated to continuing our beloved story told on multi-platforms, and in the coming months, we will be able to share our exciting new content plans that promise to entertain and delight our fans in more magical ways than ever before. Stay tuned
In
for
other words,
updates.
BrodyCon is still going on.
Yep. still got a milk on that brony culture.
No, and the funny thing about that too is like this is the post, craze age we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
Like back when the brony phase was like really, really big. Like now it seems like it's died down, which I think people are probably disappointed by. But I could say like it was an interesting movement that it happened. I was never really in it. I observed it. I kind of looked at it from the side and saw that people were really passionate about this show. But given that what we know about this, seeing the brony culture die is probably not going to happen anytime soon. It's just probably just going to be like Star Trek at this point, where it's like you're a Trekkie, you're a brony, you know.
Yeah. It definitely is true because it's very fascinating to look into what happened with the whole brony phenomenon because I don't think this is something that's going to be duplicated for a long, long time. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
think G5 or even G6 is going to recreate that magic, no pun intended. The,
You walked into that one.
No, I swear, I did not. I totally did not. No, but going back into it, the thing is, with the whole phenomenon, it really did set a brand new standard in terms of fan culture because
Yeah.
it really did develop something that nobody would ever expect coming from My Little Pony, where it not only changed the dynamics of fan culture, but also the perspective of animated TV shows, where
Mm-hmm.
the grand majority of fans, or at least the most prominent ones, are kind of like the opposite target audience that people would think from a project like My Little Pony. People like
Yeah.
beforehand, people would have the mentality that My Little Pony is kind of like the poster child of content created exclusively for young girls that are like 8 and under. But then like
Yeah.
you got people of all ages and all genders suddenly getting into this new My Little Pony, and it just like I remember in the early 2010s it was huge. I even had friends who were major bronies themselves. They grew out of it, but there was a time when they were all about My Little
Oh
Pony
yeah.
and they were making their like what do they call it, the persona or something like that, like
Personas, like personas based on, you know, what their persona as a brony, as a horse. I mean, as a
as a
pony would
horse.
be.
Yeah, exactly. And like I remember like it was at a point where like it gotten so big, but also it gotten a bit out of hand as well. Like we can't
Oh
talk
yeah.
about My Little Pony culture without talking about some of the controversies where some people can end up making can love a little bit too much of My Little Pony and make a bit too much of a deal, which could end up causing some flame wars, but also like probably one of the more controversial aspects is how people are a little bit too much in love with My Little Pony, like even in a sexual manner.
Oh yeah. Let's just put it to you this way: it's a fandom, and it kind of grew as a fandom where you got your bad eggs, or should I say,
Ex-
bad apples.
yeah, and that's the thing. It also grew it yeah, and that's one of the downsides of Friendship is Magic is that it also grew the modern interpretation of toxic fandom and what could happen when when fans of an animated TV series or of an animated project can really get out of hand, which with My Little Pony you got people who are sexually attracted to what's basically horses.
And then
Like I understand furries or anthropomorphic horses. Like you take Fluttershy's head and you put it on a busty girl. That I get, but no, there are like ponies and like showing their butts, and apparently that turns guys on.
yeah, like I mean, as somebody who knows the Disney fandom well enough, you yourself know that Zootopia has sprung some very bad artwork too.
Oh,
That
dude.
Judy Hopps. I don't know why people focus on Judy Hopps. You remember what the nostalgia critics said in Space Jam? Bunny
Bunny
nipples.
boobies.
Bunny boobies.
Well,
No.
they're not as prominent as Lola's. To be fair, she's not flaunting them out as much as Lola. No, dude. Actually, you just made me
What
think.
are we
Like
doing?
with the Zootopia. No, with Zootopia. Oh my god, probably the perfect example of that. Oh my god, you know about that infamous comic, the infamous fan comic?
Oh.
You know which one I'm talking. If you guys don't know which one I'm talking about, there's a legit fan comic out there, surprisingly very well crafted, like very well drawn, but it's about apparently it's like this anti-abortion Zootopia comic. I kid you not.
My God, I know. It's funny because like we're talking about toxic fandom, but we're also talking about how like there's the line where it's good and it's weird, you know?
Yeah.
And the best example of that is the Shrek fandom, because I
Oh
remember a couple
boy.
months ago we had the Shrek remade movie, which, believe it or not, I took part of, and I animated a clip for it where it's just a bridge between outsanely outlandish versus creative and artistic and well crafted. And I think it's amazing that the My Little Pony fandom had sprung this. Like, um, one thing I'll say about this news though is that we were living in an age, I'd say within 10 years ago, where TV was very big. I would say, like, between movies and streaming at the time, television was thriving. Ad was on TV. My Little Pony, obviously, Game of Thrones got its start. Like, TV was really getting big. That now, 10 years later, or I'd say like not even 10 years later, online streaming is kind of taking that mantle from TV. To
Mm-hmm.
me, ending My Little Pony the same way ending Adventure Time is showing that the tide is shifting away from TV and now to the online streaming empire that
Yeah,
is
and
Netflix and Hulu.
it's not just that. Isn't Gumball also finishing this year as well?
Oh,
Oh crap, you don't. Oh crap,
you
you don't
broke my
know?
heart, baby.
You don't know?
I did not know that. I
Okay,
did
well,
not
I don't
know
know.
that.
This is just from what I've
Don't
heard.
go breaking my heart, Matt.
I could be wrong, but that's what I'm only hearing. This is what I heard through the grapevines.
No, it will stay on TV for another 10 seasons. Another 10 seasons, and then it'll leave briefly, and then the fans will bring it back. Fans are going to bring it back, and it's going to have a revival and conventions, and don't go away. Don't go.
Don't worry, we
Don't
got
go,
change.
Gumball.
No matter what, we got change.org. Change.org always make things better.
What? Now that you brought that up, let me tell you, I applaud people that sign petitions for change.org, but let's be realistic. How many effective petitions have come out of change.org? Like, the closest we can ever get is 10 seconds of SpongeBob in the Super Bowl. That's it. And
Not even 10 seconds. That's like 5 seconds.
It wasn't even 10 seconds. And it was just to lead in sicko mode. I did a whole video talking about my disappointment.
I did. I actually, when I talked about it in my in this podcast, I actually did mention for people to check that one out. You brought up some very fascinating points, actually.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No. You did a great video on that. No, but the irony is that I even saw a change.org petition that asked to have a season 10 of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic.
Of course.
Because of course, but honestly, at the end of the day, yeah, it is sad that this show is going away, but honestly, it is for the best, because we are at the point where this fandom, like, the whole phenomenon is pretty much dying out, and I think it's probably for the best for the show to just, to just move on, and that we go into the next phase of My Little Pony, because, we've had our fun, we've had our crazy excitement with all the My Little Pony stuff, but now that it has died out and that most people have moved on from the whole My Little Pony craze, I think it's pretty much a moment where we are ready to just move to the next thing. And it is better to just let it die out now instead of going like full on Simpsons or SpongeBob where you just run that crap to the ground. Like, yeah. At least we would have that. And I think, honestly, like, considering the impact, the cultural impact that My Little Pony has also left us, I think it is safe to say, like, it is important to mention how My Little Pony technically was a show that definitely changed the lives of people, down to the point where it has inspired a lot of people to go, like, there's a lot of internet personalities who have been inspired by My Little Pony to do what they do now. And like, there are even some prominent YouTubers who started out just being My Little Pony fans and then just grow from there to become something they did not expect.
I mean, just look at Mr. Enter. I think he just started off doing the My Little Pony videos, and now I don't think we've heard from Mr. Enter in a while, but he did get his start doing the My Little Pony videos. And
Yeah, that's from my and that's from what I've heard. I remember there was even Saber Sparks. He even posted a tweet about this news that he brought up something very interesting. Is that he even mentioned he met his girlfriend through My Little Pony, and
Wow.
I think that is
Good for
something
him.
that we should also mention is the fact that not only did it change lives and start careers for some people on the internet, making
Start
content on
relations.
making on YouTube, but also it did create a lot of relationships. Like
It's
there were a
amazing.
lot of people who bonded through My Little Pony.
But not in the wrong way like we were talking about before.
Yeah, actually, I could debate that because there could be relationships formed through those My Little Pony things.
Let me steer you since we go down that road. Let me bring up to maybe it's for the best that Hasbro moves on to a different property, given how well Bumblebee did. That maybe this is an opportunity for them to fix Transformers, given that now we know that Bumblebee was
Oh
a
yeah.
reboot to the Transformers film franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can get more movies like Bumblebee for the property Transformers, that granted I don't really give a crap about. I wasn't really a Transformers kid growing up, but knowing the passion people have for these changing robots, maybe it's for the better.
Yeah,
That they put
definitely.
more attention to that now.
Yeah, definitely. But overall, I think it really does show that both for the better and for the worse, My Little Pony has definitely left a massive impact in our culture. And I think it is for the best that the show can end off so that it can have a legacy, just to write down how it made that big of an impact in our culture. So
Yeah.
honestly, yeah, it's sad to see it go, but it is for the best.
Yeah.
All right. So with that said, I want to go into the chat wall and I want to ask you guys, what do you all think about the end of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic? Are you guys a little bit disappointed that it has to go? Do you feel like it's for the best? Do you want to see it? Do you want to see more episodes of My Little Pony? Let me know what you all think. Let's see now. I have a profound love of Friendship is Magic since the death battle between Starscream and Rainbow Dash. This show means a lot to me. It got me out of bad places, and the Brony fandom has been one of the kindest and most welcoming fan groups I have been a part of. But maybe it's for the best. I would hate to see this become a shell of its former self, like what happened with Family Guy or The Fairly Odd Parents. 2018 was a bad year for the fandom between season 8 being the show's worst and the 2. I think he wanted to continue, but then it just stopped. Okay, that's interesting. I've been a
My
fan of.
keyboard died.
Yeah.
No, wait, I got more.
Or it's probably just Twitch's limitations on the chat. I've been a fan of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic since 2011 and still am. It's what got me interested in watching more shows that focus on female protagonists like The Legend of Korra and Star vs. the Forces of Evil, which that is also ending this year. If it wasn't for the show, I would have stayed away from all things female like the 1991 Beauty and the Beast film. Okay. Let's see, what else? Well, I've honestly never really seen much of the show's episodes or the movie, even one of the, let's see, hold on. Well, I've honestly never seen much of the show's episode or movies, even the one released theatrically. I did have some enjoyment from watching at least some episodes, clips, and hilarious moments that were released from them. Even some fan videos like that one guy that made an appearance in the podcast. Logan, oh yeah, Logan Miller. I brought two. Yeah,
Yeah,
at one point, Toucan LDM was yeah. He's another brony content creator. Did a lot of animated My Little Pony videos, like crossing over with like Cuphead or Rick and Morty and stuff like that.
that's
That is
right.
true. Let's see. Anyways, it's gonna be pretty sad for the fandom, even for some friends who have even liked it. On the bright side, I heard that the creators are making a new show. Okay. Let's see. Oh, continue from my previous comment. 2018 was a bad year from the fandom between season 8 being the show's worst. And, the Toon Critic Y2K scandal. Oh, right. Ugh. I'm not gonna go into that one. But at the
I
end
don't
of
know
the day.
what.
What?
Well, we can talk about that another time.
No, well, the Toon. You've never heard of the Toon Critic Y2K scandal?
No, what is that?
Apparently that guy is a YouTuber who talks about My Little Pony and apparently a pedophile.
Oh Christ.
Yeah, that
That's
that
not
kind of
good.
problem.
Oh God.
Yeah. But in the end of the day, My Little Pony Generation 4 will always have a special place in my heart, and we'll go into Gen 5 with an open mind. Okay, that's nice. All right, but yeah, I think we've talked about our grievances about My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. So I think it is now time that we shall jump into our next story. Oh, and
Oh, you talk about grievances too, right? Because we
yeah.
got another grievance with this one.
Oh, we got another. And speaking of scandals, actually,
Ooh.
oh, we got another big scandal, and we're going back to an old one. So, Joey, I'm
Get my
sure
popcorn.
I'm sure at this point you are quite familiar with John Lasseter being the head of Skydance Animation, are you?
Oh, I'm familiar with that. I'm also familiar now knowing that John Lasseter is a little too comfortable with hugging women and being a little too passionate about female coworkers.
I'm just re-quoting from one of my videos. I'm never gonna look at Lotso Hug and Bear the same way again.
That's what the animators modeled off of John Lasseter.
Exactly.
He smells like strawberries. Good.
Oh God. One thing you gotta know about me, I'm a hugger.
Oh man.
Oh, John Lasseter is gonna love you. Oh God.
And the funny thing about that too is like I know that he was invited to work on that butterfly ladybug TV series.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember there was at one point. I don't think they worked on the TV series. I think it was just visiting. Like I think it's like visiting the studio of like I think it was the Miraculous Ladybug you're thinking about. Like
Yeah, that one.
John Lasseter went into that studio probably just visiting or something like
Oh, that's the shame about this all, and I know I'm taking a look at the stream is that this man did have a big impact for animation. It just sucks that he, as a person, is not. And this is the thing about the Me Too movement that people need to understand is that it's about accountability. That you can be a great artist, but as a person, you need to be more respectable. You know,
that. Yeah.
you gotta be more respectful, man. Because you can make 10 Academy Awards. Just look at this just yesterday. Guy who owns the Patriots is involved in a trafficking ring.
A prostitution scandal. Yeah.
But you're gonna have people be like, oh, but Patriots are amazing and talk about the legacy of the Patriots, but that sort of stuff. That's a big deal.
And ironically, I actually just talked about this last week with another scandal with you've heard of the scandal with Vic Mignogna, the anime dub voice actor?
I heard.
Yeah.
I've heard about it.
I've
heard
discussed
a lot of people have grievances about it.
Yeah, I've discussed about that and how that one is another one where there are a lot of fans who they just don't want to believe it, that they're too much in love with the talent of Vic Mignogna that they just want to try to deflect as much of the accusations as possible and not believing in anything. But I will say, going back into John Lasseter, though, one thing I was surprised about the whole Skydance thing is that he has yet to fully have any form of consequences, or that Skydance Animation is having any, they have yet to receive any form of consequences. That is until recently. Emma Thompson has revealed that she is officially out of one of the movies from Skydance, which is Luck. And just to read you a little bit of a synopsis.
What a name!
Go on.
What a name for that movie, because it looks like they're having a twist in luck in this one.
Oh, absolutely.
Bad sort of luck.
Before I get into this, let me just start things off by reading to you guys just a little excerpt from my source here. It is from The Hollywood Report, and it's a little bit about what the movie is. They stated that it is a little bit like Inside Out in a sense, where it states that the movie concerns a battle between two organizations, one representing good luck and the other bad luck. Thompson was the head of the Good Luck organization. Now, we don't have any form of announcements in terms of the cast. We don't know who else would be involved. This is the first time we've heard someone was actually involved with the voice of this movie in particular. And with Emma Thompson, I've heard several different things. Some have stated that she started doing she started recording her lines. Some have stated she has yet to start it. Like it's somewhere in between where she's either starting or she was about to start. But ever since the whole scandal with John Lasseter, she ultimately decided that it's probably for the best that she would just leave the production. And that is where we are today. And by the way, just on a side note, it even mentioned on the side where with Skydance Animation, they are trying their best in order to try to soften the blow, the fact that they brought on board John Lasseter. In fact, considering that their president, Dil Damashke, he decided to leave, not related to John Lasseter, but he decided to step out as being president of Skydance, they actually brought on board a woman to be the new president of Skydance, Holly Edwards, which it even stated here, saying that, so elevating Edwards, who have worked at DreamWorks Animation, where she earned credits on films like Trolls and Penguins of Madagascar, could make for good optics. She did a good job at DreamWorks Animation, said an animation industry source. The bump up at Skydance is no doubt a reaction on the backlash of hiring Lasseter last month. So she's definitely qualified for a presidential job like this, but it's definitely obvious that they brought her on board because she is a woman and they want to try to soften the blow. Like they kind of did that more as a PR move.
But don't you think it's odd, though, at the end of the day, given what we know about John Lasseter, to still give him work at the same time that you're hiring a woman? That's great. Like you're saying, in response to this, but we're still giving credit to a guy that was kind of a scumbag to women at the same time. They trying to cancel one out for the other. I don't know.
Yeah, and honestly, like the thing is, like with the whole controversy with Skydance Animation, it's not necessarily that people are angry at John Lasseter. It's more the fact that they're angry at Skydance Animation, where doing this move of bringing John Lasseter as their new boss, literally just days after he was officially out at Disney, it's like saying a statement that they don't value the well-being of their workers whatsoever. And that's what made it so controversial. And seeing this right now, and honestly, I think what's very fascinating about this news in particular is the fact that now this news is out there, the fact that it is so public, the fact that Emma Thompson decided to leave pretty much really makes a big statement where even the big names at Hollywood are starting to distance themselves from John Lasseter, that they're not that comfortable to work with him. And I do believe that Emma Thompson has been, like, she was in a Pixar film before, hasn't she?
Yeah, she was in I was gonna say Monsters University, but I don't think. No. Brave.
Right. She was in Brave. So she has previously worked in John Lasseter before, but now with the controversial image of John Lasseter, she ain't taking any risks. And
I was just funny you say that because it's like, oh, I'm working with him. Gotta go.
Yep.
Get out of here.
Yeah, essentially, that's kind of the big thing. But it does make you wonder that now that it is public, the fact that Emma Thompson is bailing out of Skydance, are other major celebrities are gonna follow suit? Are they gonna do the same thing and not work because of not work there because of John Lasseter? Like, is this gonna be is it gonna be a major blowback to Skydance now that the word is out that even big celebrities are not willing to work at Skydance? Is it gonna is this gonna be the one that would cause a massive domino effect for the negative consequences for Skydance?
You know, it's interesting. We're talking about PR. We're talking about how bad news is still news. Like, it's still good news. It's still attracting attention. Like, I'm worried that they're trying to get their name out there through something bad, like just trying to get
Oh.
attention. Like negative attention is still attention. People are now paying attention to us because as far as Skydance Animation goes, we didn't know about any projects that they were working about. We
Well,
don't
they're
we don't have
relatively new.
anything.
They're relatively new. I think they mentioned they literally just started in
Right.
2017.
I guess just to add to that is that because they are just starting, I'm hoping they're not just doing this so that people at least can know who they are just by bad PR. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like because they're just starting out versus because like I think back to when a studio first opened up, like DreamWorks, they had it was a big deal that they opened an animation studio. It was a big deal because we had Spielberg, we had
David
Katzenberg
Geffen,
and
David.
Geffen, big music mogul, coming together, and all people can think about it as positive news, but not so much bad PR. I think this is like one of those rare instances where it's like the opposite of that, where it's
Yeah,
like we're gonna get all these big names, but
yeah,
it's
like
not
with
working for
yeah,
us.
the funny thing with DreamWorks is that that one was major news because it was Jeffrey Katzenberg, and he was literally fresh off of Disney, like literally just a
Mm.
few months after the release of The Lion King,
And
where
Toy Story.
no,
And Toy Story.
Toy Story was 1995. Like DreamWorks was
Oh,
already there to begin with,
okay.
but well, technically he was involved with some of the production of Toy Story, of course, but
Yeah.
the thing is that after the release of The Lion King, he was fresh out of it to build up a brand new studio for the purpose of being a rival to Disney, which they did achieve. Like at one point, DreamWorks did manage to become like Disney's full-on animation rival.
Yeah.
But in this case, right over here, like it really went backwards. It's just the factor that now there's a lot more context to what's going on, a lot more different reasons. It's not all like at least with Jeffrey Katzenberg, it's all about the business. Like it was just about like it was purely for I guess the old saying goes, nothing personal, it's just business.
Yeah.
With John Lasseter, on the other hand, there's a lot more layers that went into it. We're talking about scandals, we're talking about abuse, we're talking about the way that he would treat his employees. And
Yeah.
even though it was more than a year after the scandal has been pretty much revealed that he has done these things, one thing that nobody ever knew about is regarding if John Lasseter fully reformed himself to actually go back to work and actually go back in an environment where he can actually work with women. Would he be capable of doing that? That is something that nobody knows if it is confirmed that he can do. And especially with hiring the way that John Lasseter was immediately brought into Skydance Animation, the problem with it is the fact that, as I mentioned before, it was literally just days after he was officially let go from Disney, so it feels like he didn't face much consequences
Right.
to his actions. And that
Yeah.
is really the biggest issue, and why so many people are upset with this move is that Skydance decided to make John Lasseter avoid any form of consequences to the actions that he has done, because now he is still running a major animation studio. Like, granted, it's not like John Lasseter is no longer running the biggest and the best animation studios like Disney and Pixar. It is a bit of a downgrade to go to Skydance, so he has to rebuild himself up again, but still, it is John Lasseter running an animation studio.
And the thing about that too is like I know John Lasseter, as far as scandals go, wasn't as bad as Weinstein. But if we're talking about like the level of uh of harassment that was going on, it would literally be like if Weinstein's just got another studio. And at this point, I don't think that has happened yet. Has it? Has Weinstein gotten a studio?
I don't
Not
know if
not Miramax.
I don't know if Harvey Weinstein is a free man. I think like he's in prison. Like he's still going on
Okay.
trial with his stuff.
That's what I mean. I mean, it's not as severe, but like he has a consequence for his action. Why doesn't Lasseter? And I think
Yeah.
based on what people are saying, there should be more consequence and even more investigation as far as like what's going on. It just seems like, oh, things are hokey dory again. By the way, he has a history of being a little too compassionate with his employees.
Yeah, and drinking. Definitely drinking as
Yeah,
well. The
that's
drinking makes
horrible.
things worse. So, yeah, and especially now that it did get, but it is funny that now with the news that Emma Thompson is bailing out on this, so we are starting to see that there are some legitimate consequences. I mean, previously before there have been a bit of consequences where Paramount Animation, they used to be collaborating with Skydance, like giving out notes, but the president decided to back off from that entirely to distance themselves from it. But now that they can't get any A-list celebrities to go and voice their stuff, I do feel like this is the start of some kind of blowback for Skydance, and I don't know, like maybe this could make Paramount Pictures, because they're kind of like the parent company of Skydance,
Yeah.
to probably reconsider what they're doing with them. Either way, I feel like, like honestly, the consequences, like they are much slower than I expected them to happen, but we are seeing them bit by bit, where the name John Lasseter is still unappealing, not just in the animation circles, but even around Hollywood as well.
And it's funny that you're mentioning Paramount Pictures because you're saying it might worry Paramount Pictures. I don't think they're going to have that much of a blow out of this, in my opinion. I know as a subsidiary, Skydance, but I think historically speaking, Paramount has always managed to find ways to bounce back. I would say like people rarely ever talk about the history, the legacy of animation at Paramount, but they have a legacy that's always been on and off. It's just always been inconsistent, you know?
Yeah, that
And
is
I think
definitely true.
they're in a position right now where they're trying to rebuild that. And I think this will hurt it, but in the long run, I don't think this will like shut them down or anything.
Oh no! It's not really that. And but with Paramount, the thing is that I do, because the thing with Skydance is that it is more of a side thing, and honestly, with Paramount, they can live without them. Even if they don't have Skydance Animation, they still have their own animation studio, Paramount Animations. So
Yeah.
that's the thing, is that technically it's just a side thing that technically Paramount doesn't necessarily need. Skydance, for the most part, their purpose is to co-finance some of the big projects that Paramount would have.
And it's funny you say that too. I think about that clip from Zombieland where what's his name, Woody Harrelson's crying, and he's like, "It's like as sad as that ending of Titanic." He takes those wad of hundreds and wipes his tears, and it's kind of like what Paramount's reacting. I was like, "It's so sad." Still got money.
Yeah.
Still crying to the bank.
Yeah, that's basically the big thing. But no, but I do feel like this is a new interesting chapter, and I feel like even if it's months ahead, we still do need to keep an eye out on Skydance to see what's going to be happening next. I do feel like now this is the confirmation that no matter how long it takes, like Skydance is going to be a long developing story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, with that said, I want to go into the chat wall and I want to ask you guys, how do you feel about Emma Thompson quitting the Luck Project? Do you feel like she made a smart move? Do you think it would have been best if for her to stay? How do you guys feel about all this? Let me know what you all think.
Oh, I
Let's
know
see.
one guy is already singing "I'm a Believer" from Shrek for some reason.
Yeah, I see that as well.
Because it's the internet.
I thought of. I mean, it's the internet. Like, no matter where you go, you cannot escape one thing with a Shrek reference.
Yeah,
Okay.
because somebody once told me that the world was gonna roll me.
Yeah. Shrek. Yo, Shrek is love. Shrek is life. Let's see. Do we have any? Let's
Seems
see.
like someone's trying to like beat me to a question. It's like I'm trying to ask you a question, but sometimes, yeah,
Uh,
I have never heard of that TV show. You go, you go.
yeah. All right. Let's see. Paramount would probably be the next Warner Brothers feature animation if Wonder Park bombs. Who knows? Well, like like if one movie bombs, that doesn't mean it's gonna be the end for them. They'll still have a lot.
Nope.
If Queen Eleanor would refuse to work with Lasseter again, then it's pretty clear that Skydance is fighting a losing battle having him on board. Unless Lasseter can actually prove he's learned his lesson, he needs to be let go, or Skydance Animation will just be a ticking clock. Yeah, that could be the case. That's how I feel with the whole situation, is that with with John Lasseter on board, something bad is gonna happen. It's either gonna screw over Skydance, it's either gonna screw over Paramount. Someone's gonna something big is gonna get screwed over for this.
Mhm. Yeah, and I see somebody is trying to argue with me now that they're trying to mention the Monkeys original version of I'm a Believer over. We all know we're talking about the Shrek version. And don't make this about the monkeys. We just lost one yesterday. That's not
that is
fair.
true. Oh yeah, that is
That's
true.
That's not fair.
Too soon. Too soon.
Too soon.
Okay. Let's see. Hate to say it, but Emma shouldn't have been. Oh really? Hate to say it, but Emma shouldn't have backed out because of John. I say just adapt to the person you're working with and just carry on as normal.
No.
No.
She's high profile. She's not gonna. She's a high profile actress. I think she could take this one. She could take this one out.
Yeah, she's got plenty of other work. She could do fine. Oh, let's see. I think
she already can do Men in Black. Like, come on.
Oh, is she gonna be in the next Men in Black movie?
Yeah, she was the head of the MIB, and she was in the trailer too.
Oh, she was. Oh, okay. I think she's free to do what she needs to do, especially since Skydance appears to be attempting to make a name for themselves for controversy. Okay, and yeah, and now I see like a whole bunch of people going, too soon, too soon.
Too soon and beyond. That's my favorite one. Like anytime we have a too soon moment, just go too soon and beyond.
Yes. or now like I just go with my favorite new version, to insanity and a blonde. Oh my god. Oh, that teaser trailer was definitely good. Not the first one, but the one with Key and Peele, that was funny.
Marketing for that movie is weird. Let me just put it to you that
way.
Yeah.
I
feel like it's just like the trailers aren't telling you anything, but it's really just the posters and the advertisements and clips that are telling you more about this movie than the actual trailers. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, it's weird. I definitely understand. All right, but with that said, though, Joey, that I'm just gonna say that Toy Story thing, that's pretty normal, because now we're just gonna go into the grand finale, and this time around, yes, we started out with our meal. We started out having some delectable green eggs and ham, but this time we're gonna have a little dessert, and
Can
this
I do it in my Michael Douglas impression.
Oh yeah.
What's for dessert, Scat?
For dessert, we are going to have some little Hanna-Barbera fun, but with a little twist.
Oh.
Joey, do you like some blood and gore with your Hanna-Barbera?
La 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 da 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 da. Stab, stab, stab.
I'll take that as a yes, because apparently the Banana Splits are back in a brand new horror project. Yes, apparently Warner Brothers Home Entertainment and Syfy are going to be collaborating in order to create a brand new horror thriller based on the Banana Splits, or more specifically, the Banana Splits Adventure Hour variety program. Reading from my source here in Deadline, the plot is said here to be in the upcoming horror thriller, a boy named Harley and his family, brother Austin, mother Beth, and father Mitch, attend a taping of the Banana Splits TV show, which is supposed to be a fun-filled birthday for young Harley and business as usual for Rebecca, the producer of the series. But things take an unexpected turn, and the body count quickly rises.
Aww.
Can Harley, his mom, and their new pals safely escape? So there's no other info. Like, we do have a bit of a cast with not a whole bunch of people that we are familiar with, because it is a bit of a low budget thing. It's meant for like sci-fi and stuff like that. But ooh, excuse me.
There's going to be a Sharknado in the middle of Banana Splits. And then Steve Gutenberg's just going to show up like, oh.
With a random Biz Marquee cameo. What you doing here, man? Oh my god. But just to give you guys a little bit of a quick context, for those of you who don't know what the Banana Splits are, the Banana Splits is actually a series created by Hanna-Barbera, which I think it was their first time diving into live action, and it was from 1968, and the costumes were actually designed by the Croft brothers, who would later on be known to be the creators of H.R. Puffnstuff. And from there, you would see the main characters, which are like a bunch of anthropomorphic animals. They are in this Electric Mayhem style band called the Banana Splits. They consist of Bingo, Fleagle, Drooper, and Snorky, which is like you got this lion, this orange monkey, this dog, and an elephant. And they would
go walk into a bar. It
Yeah.
sounds like the premise to a bad joke.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And from there, you would see these little segments where they would go on these wacky adventures, or they would be together just to goof around. And in between, there would be these little segments of animated cartoons. They're kind of like short little Johnny Quest style TV shows where like you got these group of people and they would go on an adventure, whether it be like fantasy based or sci-fi based or something like that. That's basically the whole premise of the Banana Splits, is that that they would be in between stuff between the costume animals goofing around, and then like you got these cartoons. And I always remember at the end you would always see the Banana Splits just playing around some old Six Flags theme park. And of course, there is the popular...
And stabbing people.
Yeah.
And killing people.
And you got the popular theme song as well. You might have heard a few times maybe of like, tra-la-la, la-la-la-la, tra-la-la, la-la-la-la, one banana, two banana, three banana, four, and that. Go on.
And it's funny you mentioned the theme song, because the first time I heard about Banana Splits was through Kick-Ass and through Hit Girl's introduction using a cover of the Banana Splits theme song.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's
true.
Yeah, so the fact that it's associated to violence is not too far off.
Yeah.
The funny thing, my knowledge of Banana Splits, I don't know diddly squat about it. Actually, the only exposure I had is through your animation look back of Hanna-Barbera. That's the only thing
I did talk about that.
You did, yeah. That was the only way I knew about the Banana Splits.
Yeah,
sorry for that whole injection.
No, it's perfectly fine. But you know, the funny thing is that I actually grew up a bit with the Banana Splits. It was one of those shows that they would put on Boomerang, and from time to time I would check them out. Like I was like, I didn't really care much for the cartoons, but I was more into the goofy live action segments, seeing the characters just going crazy and all that stuff. Like, since they are a band, like sometimes they would have these wacky segments, and they are cute, they are fun, but honestly, I just look at this and honestly, I could ask, like, whose idea was this? Like, who is the person that came into Warner Brothers or Syfy and just walked in saying, I got an idea for our next horror movie. All right,
who's behind this? I demand an explanation.
All right, you know this cartoon called the Banana Splits? This thing here? You know, these cartoons, these guys right here, they scare the crap out of me. Let's make them go around and stab people.
Let me tell you something. This is what's going on in the executive room. Right? They come in with a big cigar, and he's like, "All right, so here's the deal. My kid, 8-year-old kid, he goes online, he reads these creepypastas. What are we gonna do? We're gonna make more creepypastas. We're gonna make creepypasta TV shows. We're gonna make creepypasta things, and we got a whole bunch of properties nobody gives a crap about. Put in Banana Splits and make creepypasta Banana Splits."
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like some weird... It sounds like a weird creepypasta, or it sounds like one of those, you know, one of those fake trailers that they would take a classic children's property and they turn it into a horror thing. Like, a good example, have you seen the Willy Wonka one with Christopher Lloyd?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, that one is like, welcome to the factory. It's time to die. And then
The
like
funny
you see
thing about that,
Go
yeah,
on.
the funny thing about that too is Funny or Die did something with John Goodman playing Colonel Sanders, and I thought they were going to go in a direction like that, but they don't. But going on,
Yeah, exactly. It just seems it seems like one of those fake trailers where they take like a property that existed and just go full on horror, but I didn't expect they would do that with the godforsaken Banana Splits, especially with a Hanna-Barbera thing. Like, I get it that in recent years we are seeing Hanna-Barbera going into new and weird territories, like
yeah,
especially with the DC Comics.
I was just going to bring that up too. I could totally see this as being a response to the DC comics, which, believe it or not, are not that bad. One of my favorite comics to come out of this is Scooby-Doo Apocalypse is a great read.
I
I
heard
love.
I heard recently though they are ending it off. Like this year is going to end it off.
It was a good run. It was because Scooby-Doo is one of those properties where it's so popular and we've seen it go in so many strange directions that seeing a Scooby-Doo property go that way, and even like an adult-oriented Flintstones comic, which was kind of always the intention and what people always wanted to see happen. And then my personal favorite, Wacky Races turning into Mad Max. That was that was really, really trippy.
Yeah, and don't forget there was also another popular one where they just decided to they just made Snagglepuss go full on gay.
Like Tennessee Williams, they turn him into a Tennessee Williams character.
Exactly.
And, that you know what? Yeah, that works.
Yeah, but
I mean, I would totally see him putting on a Tennessee Williams persona. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, the funny thing is that what does make it weird with those comics is the fact that they decided to go hyper realistic. Like,
yeah,
with Hanna-Barbera, they've kind of been like the icons of like flat cartoon imagery. Like this is flat 2D, full on cartoon. But then like you go into then you go into the comics, you got these realistic characters, and like they're just going around their day, and like they would say some weird and unexpected things like, "How's your day going, Fred?" "Barney, we just committed genocide," which I think is a legitimate line in the Flintstones comics.
Not to mention in Wacky Races, the Wacky Races Apocalypse storyline, given that there really isn't any there are anthropomorphic animals in Wacky Races, but they explain that Muttley exists because he was Dick Dastardly's co-pilot, and he got into an accident and he had to be transfused with his dog. Like they had to give him the head of his dog somehow to keep him alive, which was interesting because, there really isn't a way you could explain that. But what they did with that in that universe is like, I could kind of see that.
Okay.
In this crazy, crazy, weird, trippy world they're creating, I could see that sort of happening.
But could you actually, but like with the DC Comics kind of thing, would you see them take a similar form of direction like what Syfy is trying to do with the Banana Splits?
I don't maybe, but the thing is I wouldn't say it has to do with like the direction of the DC Comics, more so, and I mentioned this to you on Twitter, I'll just say that this to me seems like hype, or at least it seems like Warner Brothers wanting to make a project similar to the upcoming Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Because Blumhouse is in production to make a Five Nights at Freddy's movie with Chris Columbus, the director of Home Alone and Harry Potter, a movie that I'm really looking forward to. The last I've heard about it, though, is I think they're rewriting it.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've heard anything from that.
But I'm thinking that they probably got to do something, because I would love to see Blumhouse make a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, given what Blumhouse has been able to pull out.
Oh, that's true.
That's one thing I'm really, really looking forward to. I mean, Happy Death Day, great franchise.
Yeah, but there is one thing that I would like to say, though, is that I would disagree with you with that kind of connection with this Banana Splits project, because number one, we don't know when that's officially going to be happening, because technically the Five Nights at Freddy's thing is still in pre-production, and this is something that I've just recently read about this Banana Splits project, is the fact that it's coming out this year. It's coming out
Yeah.
much sooner than you would expect. It actually
And
states
direct to video too.
well, it's gonna be on Syfy and then direct to video. Like, just to read a little excerpt in Deadline, it states that the original movie will premiere this year from Blue Ribbon Content, Warner Brothers Television Group's digital studio, via Warner Brothers Home Entertainment's release that will be followed by the television debut on Syfy. So, like, I don't think it really is as a response to the whole Five Nights at Freddy's thing, but I think it's more its own thing. It's more trying to produce its own thing to put it out there. I guess it's like kind of like Warner Brothers Home Entertainment's attempt to go into the horror genre, and I guess they couldn't think of. It's like, okay, quick, we need a horror movie. What can you think of? Banana Splits. Okay. No, not Freddy Krueger, not Friday the 13th, but the Banana Splits.
Those costumes, though. I mean, I could see a crazy guy in those costumes murdering people.
I guess you could.
And a creepier version of the theme song, like with little girl choir going.
Oh god. Yeah, like oh my god, like
light going.
Oh god, like get those people who would sing like those get one of the people who would sing like one of the more creepier versions of like the Disney songs that you would hear for the live action remakes, like Once Upon a Dream for Maleficent.
And speaking of which, if you think about it, Freddy Krueger's song, the little girls doing the jump rope, that song actually does sound like the Banana Splits theme song, like one Freddy's come and get you, one to do.
I don't know. I think that's more of a classic jump rope thing. I think that's more of a classic childhood thing, more so than a connection to the Banana Splits.
But I could see Banana Splits being a jump rope type thing.
Yeah. I think that could be the inspiration. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that is kind of like the inspiration for the song itself. That could be, but I don't know if there would be connection with that thing with Freddy Krueger. But honestly, but for me, I would say, as someone who did grow up with the Banana Splits, I just find this to be such a weird thing to create. It's just like, why the Banana Splits? Like, out of all the things that you could turn into a horror film, or out of all the things you could find in order to make something horror related, why go with the freaking Banana Splits?
Let me ask you another question. If you were to bring back Banana Splits, how would you do it? Given that you have so much passion for the original show, or at least from what you're saying, it seems like you were tied to this.
Honestly, man, why not make a full-on animated reboot for Cartoon Network? Because that's the thing.
Okay.
You got to keep in mind that, as I stated, yeah, because keep in mind, I stated before that this is like this Electric Mayhem style band, because that's kind of the whole premise of them, is that they are this rock band. So why not fully emphasize that? Like, why not have like this cartoon rock group? Like, that could be the direction that
it's
you
going to
could
be
go.
like an EDM rave type deal.
Exactly. Well, that could
Which
be an
kind of
interesting.
works if you think about it. I could see.
Like, technically, like a rock group trying to adapt into this new age of technology.
And you know what, too? I'll even argue, I could see, like, you know how Daft Punk has those masks?
Oh, yeah.
And Dead Mouse has those masks? I could see, like, Banana Splits being guys wearing Dead Mouse masks or something similar to that.
Oh god.
I know that's out there, but like
Like,
I
just
can
oh
see
god,
that.
all I see now is just the head. Like, imagine just the heads of these like Banana Splits guys, but it's like on these like skinny, buffed up bodies. It's just like these giant, and then like these random giant heads.
Yeah, like I think about the series I just saw, Umbrella Academy. You got two hitmen who wear these giant cartoon masks.
Yeah,
Something like that.
I don't know. That just seems. I don't know. It's like the misproportions are gonna be there.
Yeah, right.
Oh god.
I mean, it's interesting to ask you that because I just don't see that enthusiasm from a lot of people when it comes to the Banana Splits. For Yogi Bear, sure. For Wacky Races, a little, but not so much for like Banana Splits, you know. And given what I know about Hanna-Barbera doing stuff, last I heard about Scooby-Doo is supposed to be like a tied universe that's going to end. Like people are going to say it's going to like tie to a Laugh Olympics movie. I think that would be kind
Oh,
of dumb, to be honest with
I
you.
love Lap Olympics. That
I
would,
do
for me, that would
too.
be epic.
I do too, but I mean, like, let's be real. Laugh Olympics as a movie, that would be kind of weird.
I don't know. I could see potential in that. But
If you
no,
could,
I
that would be
do
kind of
I
cool.
do get what you mean though of the fact that the banana, yeah, it's true, Banana Splits is one of the more obscure properties from Hanna-Barbera. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just saying that in more of a personal kind of thing. And I do get, like, technically, what else can you really do with the Banana Splits? And plus the fact that most people that would be either watching or listening to this, they don't really know what the Banana Splits are until, like, with this news. So it doesn't necessarily surprise me that, yeah, like, technically, I mean, if it weren't for this project, what else would they do with the Banana Splits? It's not
Right.
necessarily something that could be that could be highly marketable as much as the other Hanna-Barbera projects. So I definitely do understand where you are going with there. It's just like, I feel it's just the whole concept of taking a Hanna-Barbera property and turning it into this horror thriller. It seems so bizarre.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you there. Is that it just seems like night and day, and I mean, it's weird because if we're gonna be seeing something like this, is it possible that other Sydney Croft shows could be making a comeback, but in a different tone? Like, are we gonna? I know, like, it was a joke a while back that Seth Rogen was gonna star as what you mentioned the name of the show before with
Oh,
the
HR Puffin stuff.
yeah. Seth Rogen was gonna do his version, but it was gonna be like a stoner comedy, a Judd Apatow stoner comedy.
Well, well, you laugh, but honestly, the thing is that they did try. They honestly did try, but it turned out to be a massive disaster. Do you remember a Will Ferrell movie called Land of the Lost? Like, with the
Yeah.
dinosaurs? That was actually based on a property made by the Croft brothers, and it
Well,
turned
so
out
is
to,
Lost in Space.
yeah, Lost in Space?
Yeah, Lost in Space is also Croft too.
I did not know that. No, but I know
Yeah.
that with Land of the Lost, that was the one thing that really turned off Hollywood from working on anything related to the Croft brothers, to not do any of those projects. So that's why they kind of, like, stepped back from that. So yeah, I don't know. It's just like, yeah, it does seem like a funny idea with all the HR Puffin stuff projects, but it's like, yeah, that could be something that can lose, like, millions of dollars though.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, overall, I don't know what they're gonna do with this Banana Splits horror movie, but would you be interested in checking it out when it's gonna be on Syfy?
I mean, when it's on video, I mean, I need to see a trailer first. I want to see a trailer to this first. I like creepy stuff, you know. I just posted a video, and I'm gonna post a video later tonight where you're gonna see me draw zombies in a comic I'm working on. So I like creepy, gory stuff. It's just like you're saying, when you've got a property that is tied to something different, it's gonna be hit or miss, you know. And I'm not gonna like search for it, but if it shows up on Twitter and I see a trailer of this and it catches my interest, I might check it out. If not, then back in the bargain bin.
Yeah, I think for me, the more I think about it, I feel like, honestly, my question is, how crazy are you gonna go? Because if you're gonna go into, like, your typical slasher style thing, and all you're gonna add something new is just have the Banana Split stab people and have a creepy version of the Tra La La song, then honestly, I don't think it would be worth it. But
Remember, Bender, stabbity stabbity.
but if you would go into a weird, crazy direction, make some over the top plot with this, like, try to have some deep, crazy lore, like, even have Hanna-Barbera themselves be involved with the mythos of this, then
Yeah,
maybe it could be
right.
worth watching. That honestly, for me, that would be the big thing. How crazy can you go with this project? Because already this idea sounds weird enough as it is. But if you can manage to pull off, not some, I'm not asking for something that is great. I'm not asking you to make, like, a good quality horror movie. I'm asking, just make something absolutely nuts. Make something absolutely insane with it. Because that's that's kind of the appeal with Sharknado. It's not because it's good, it's because it's crazy.
it's interesting you're saying that too, because from what the premise of this sounds like is that it's going to take place when the show was originally made, which was, when Hanna-Barbera was still alive,
Hmm.
which means that there could be a lot of self-referential, self-deprecating humor about the flaws that Hanna-Barbera was going through. There was criticism towards the studio back in the day. It'd be kind of funny if they mentioned that. Like you said,
Hmm.
if you got Hanna-Barbera being in this show and they end up getting killed off.
So yeah, honestly, that's honestly my say that I would go with this. It's a weird, insane idea, but just go nuts with it. That's all I can ask.
Hey, we're getting a Green Eggs and Ham series with Michael Douglas and workaholics.
And
So
$5 to $6 million put onto each episode.
into each episode, I mean, where else can we go?
Exactly. All
I'm
right.
still not letting that go. That is nuts.
I know. All right, so with that said, I want to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you guys, what do you think of this Banana Splits horror movie? Are you guys going to be interested in checking this one out? Are you guys going to give it a pass? Let me know, what do you all think, and do you want this crazy Banana Splits horror film?
Stab.
Oh my god, Joey, which reminds me, I need to show you at least what I have planned for the thumbnail, because oh my god, it's gonna be wild. Okay, let's see now. This sounds like a pretty weird and crazy film. I would like to see, it would be like turning Sesame Street into a horror movie. By the way, I didn't express my thoughts on the Angry Birds 2 trailer because I was busy, but to briefly summarize it, I am really excited for this movie because the Angry Birds movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. I honestly can't wait to see how they will expand the universe of the Angry Birds further. Oh, fascinating.
Wow.
Okay, so this project is like a crossover between Five Nights at Freddy's and the Banana Splits. Honestly, such a weird kind of premise to do with the Banana Splits. Why Hanna-Barbera? I'll probably check this one out curiously. I think that's kind of the appeal of it. It's for curious watchers. It's not for people that are like, all right, man, we're gonna check this out. This is gonna be epic, yo. We're gonna be checking out the Banana Splits and stabbing people and stuff. It ain't gonna be like that.
If there was a man who did that, I legitimately want to meet him. I want to take him out for a drink. I want to know what this man is like. I want to know if he's a party animal.
What a fascinating human. Yo, what a fascinating human who would get all excited just for a murderous Banana Splits movie.
That sounds like a character. Let's just put it to you that way.
Oh, absolutely. The idea of making something that was made for kids into a horror movie is like making a show for toddlers using Mortal Kombat characters. Another funny thing is that in 2010 they wanted to make an M-rated Spyro game with blood, but they thought it wouldn't sell well. That's when they decided to make a kid-friendly Skylanders franchise instead. Oh, I didn't know about that Spyro thing.
I didn't know about that either.
That is interesting. Let's see. I never heard about the Banana Splits. I can't believe that they want to make a movie that is full-on Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't know if it'll work, but I'll wait and see if it does happen. Yeah, a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's comparisons, funny enough. Like,
I think it's just the guys in the suits, but I agree with you. It's not necessarily the same thing. I think people are just
because Five Nights at Freddy's is more Chuck E. Cheese with animatronics. This one is like, well, I mean, okay, actually, the more I think about it, the more that I do see a bit of the comparisons, considering that we are talking about anthropomorphic animals in a band. And even with Five Nights at Freddy's, they are a band. Like, technically, they are a band. Like, you got Freddy with a microphone, and Bonnie with a guitar, and Chica, well, I don't know, she's just holding a cupcake, so... so, yeah, but...
She's the girl of the group.
She's the girl! I don't know, she's, like, the girl.
What do we know about Five Nights at Freddy lore? I think it's interesting in itself.
That would require a Matt Pat marathon. That would require like a whole game theory marathon there. All right, but I think with that said,
it must be good.
Yeah. All right, so I think with that said, that should be it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. So, Joey, I just want to say thank you so much for coming to this episode. It was a blast.
You are not kidding. We talked about some pretty crazy stuff, man.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the whole point of this podcast. So I'm glad
This
it
is
really
a
worked.
nutty one.
Oh yeah, I'm glad it really worked out well on that. So Joey, I would like to ask. I'm sure there are some people, like not only enjoyed the stories that we talked about, not only enjoyed me, but I'm sure they also enjoyed you. So if there would be people who would like more of you, where would they go and find you online?
Okay, so I have a review series in case you guys aren't familiar with it. It's called the Cartoon Palooza. I've done it since 2010. So this would be going on to 9 years. I've been doing animated reviews on YouTube. Thank you.
Awesome.
I'm going to be posting a Q&A video tonight on my channel, which is Joey T Cartoon P, JoeyTCartoonP as the username. You'll be able to find my review series. Trying to get to a video every week, but I mean, it really depends on your support. Visit my Patreon page. You can find out some good goals if you go there. Patreon.com/JoeyTCartoonP. Second time doing a Patreon campaign. Kind of had a clear idea as far as what my goals are. So if you're interested, go ahead and check out my Patreon. Otherwise, you can also find me on Instagram where I post my artwork, TEDZEY91, TEDZEY91, not 71, where you find my artwork, mostly cartoon related stuff. And last thing as far as promotion goes, is my Twitter handle, which is the same as my YouTube handle, Joey T Cartoon P. Next week, I'll be reviewing Patreon request, which is another perk if you subscribe to my Patreon page, of Gaither's Pond, The Lower Depths. Gosh, sounds like a title from a Star Trek episode, Tenegra, Darmoth and Tenegra.
I've never heard of that thing. Like, is it like a comic? Is it a cartoon, or what is it?
4 words. 4 words. Southern Baptist craze bad CG. Bad CG Southern Baptist.
Oh Lord!
Oh, you said it. Oh Lordy!
Lord! You got a wild one there.
Yeah, quite a request. So if you want to get priority requests, go ahead and check out my Patreon, and you find out more from there.
All right. So once again, just a quick reminder that I'm going to have a bonus episode all about the Oscars that are going to be happening on Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And also that next Saturday, there will be no episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast since I will be on vacation. The show will be going back on March 9th. So just a little heads up on that. And with all that said, I just would like to say thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time, see you later, dudes!